Good morning, Facebook. How you going? It's Terry here from 10,000 Dreams. Checking in again today for our Tuesday chats, as usual. Uh, don't mind me while I cough and splutter a little bit through here. The whole little bit of niggly stuff sitting around. That's nothing major, but it's just a little bit annoying. So my apologies if I cough a bit through today's chat. I'm joined though today by Julia Trask. Now, Julia and I met just a couple of months ago, actually, when we both are part of the leadership team in the BX Toowoomba group, but also we're here because I wanted Julia to be able to share with you guys about her business, Magnetic Confidence. So given that I'm already getting croaky, Julia, could you please introduce yourselves? I'm going to be monitoring the chat on my phone here, so if you've got any questions for Julia as we're going, look, jump in and say hi, but like post all your questions in there and stuff as well so that we can monitor it. But Julia, please introduce yourself to everybody. Right. Have a drink already.
Have a drink. Hi, yeah, as Terry was saying, I'm Julia Trask. I'm the founder and coach at Magnetic Confidence. So it's been something I've been doing for 7 years now, helping people to move away from people pleasing, self-sabotage, and prioritizing themselves last instead of first. And I really, really enjoy it. So I used to help men and women, and now I just focus on women, and really, really love seeing the change and their confidence, and breaking, generational patterns is something that really lights me up.
Yeah. It's amazing to see, isn't it? Given that there's a little bit of a crossover with what you and I do, but oh my goodness, to see the changes that people can create once they really tap in and really focus on changing that element of their life, the flow-on effect to the rest of the world is just, I'm out. It lights me up. I love this stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing. And also just for them to sit and be really quite thoughtful in the fact that the way that things have been going stops with me is just so amazing to be able to be given that ability to work with someone to experience that insight that they have.
Yeah.
But also that they take it without being forced, because I think
yes,
some people feel like a coach is telling them what to do, which is not what's actually happening. And so it makes that light bulb moment even more beautiful.
It's interesting, isn't it, though? Because, obviously nobody's going to work with a coach unless they want the support. But sometimes when they get into a spot that's really a big challenge for them, it's very easy for people to start to drop into that mindset of, but this is what I'm being told to do. I have to do this. And it's not ever about that. So it's interesting to watch and to see that play out, because it's not an uncommon thing, I think. Have you found that with the people that you work with, where you get to that point where there's that bit of resistance and you've got to continue to work through that with them?
I think it's in everyone, and I think it's even in coaches. And if coaches don't think it's in them, then kidding themselves, to be honest.
Because every coach have their own coach?
Well, they should, yeah. But I feel like there are things that hit our heart a little bit harder than those that we are already making progress on, and we already know we're making progress on. And so we do take that little bit longer. I've had people in coaching sessions who they have a whole hour, and at the 55-minute mark, they're like, okay, I'll let you in and I'll let this fall apart. And you're like, oh, but now I've got somebody else I'm going to talk to. It's so good that you had this point, but I want to support you through the whole process. But it's really just up to, when are people ready to let that resistance down? They already know it exists. So it's just providing that safe space, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I actually, I schedule 90-minute meetings with my clients for exactly that reason, because I just consistently, you'd get to that end of the hour and you'd only just be starting to get into the really good stuff,
Yeah.
So yeah. What's your favorite thing about what you get to do? What do you love about your business?
I love meeting different people and hearing their story. And I think everyone has an empowering story. They might just not know it. And I'm really about people having success and happiness in their life. Before I was in coaching, that's all I wanted. Like, no matter what your background is, no matter your orientation or what's happened for you, I just want you to experience success. And I really love it when people start to see that for themselves, because they've, through their own learning, chosen that they want a better life for themselves. And they want to be more confident and have more self-love, which changes their relationships. That's a massive one, you know. People being able to see something we've been stuck in for a long time is suddenly not an issue anymore. I mean, they know they're going to have to go back and rinse and repeat lessons and learn new things as they develop further, but they are on that journey and it's so much easier. And so that resistance we were talking about before is just lessened, and they now get in this sense of achievement within themselves. I've got my own back. I can do what I want to do now. I can be who I want to be and not be afraid about what people think. And I love that.
Yeah. That whole idea of, you know that you have the capacity to change, create the change that you need, so that when you become aware that that's needed, you know, once you've been through that process, it's like you said, it's beautiful to watch, isn't it? What's your least favorite thing about what you do? What do you dislike?
My least favorite thing is probably when you have to be really stern around boundaries, but failing to do that doesn't teach your clients anything. So, you know, that's one of the reasons why I say to people, you know, maximize your time. It's up to you how quickly or slow you want to go. I'll be here to support you all the time. And, you know, I give people support 5 days a week. But sometimes people really need those really hard boundaries. And actually in my virtual coaching, I've had a couple of clients, not many, who just tapped out, like, because they get their coaching that's personalized through the app. You'll see that they haven't logged in, they haven't watched anything, they haven't done any of their activities. And I'll just say to them, like, I think we should stop coaching, because I don't want to be that business owner that takes money from you when you're not getting any progress. So I'm going to give you a refund.
Yeah.
And I've only ever said that twice. And one person in particular was like, holy crap, she's serious. I'm like, yeah, I want you to have success. I'm not here to stuff around. I'm not here to waste your time. If you don't value it, then I will give you your money back. And that's actually been where people have gone, oh crap, okay, I'm going to put some more effort in now, because they realize how much I'm also invested in seeing their success. So I'm not a fan of doing that, but sometimes, and you know, I've rarely had to do it. Sometimes it's essential for people to realize this is real. Like, you either want to feel better within yourself and have more confidence and experience greater success, or you don't, and you've got to choose.
Yeah.
And I mean, in business, I think too, also, it's changed now, but a few years ago, chasing money, you know, I don't have my business set up in that way, but I think that's pretty much every business owner's bugbear, is chasing people to pay. And and that's a lesson in your own boundaries too.
Yep, absolutely. So tell me, you mentioned that you've got an app that you work with your clients. How does that work for you? Because it's, as far as you're the only coach that I'm aware of that I know of personally who actually uses an app, like a customized app within their own business. What does that look like in terms of how people can work with you? Like, how does that fit in?
Yeah, so basically the app gives people 7 to 10 minute videos. I hope you're okay.
It's just a niggly thing that when I talk, I get to cough. So I'm going to mute and cough, hopefully in silence in the background here.
Yeah, so the coaching app is like personalized to people. So we have an initial consultation, usually goes for about an hour. And we pull apart what people think is their struggle with their confidence and self-worth. And then I will, in the background, be thinking, I think it could also be this, or this in that consultation. And I'll share that with someone before we finish. And then I will provide them with a personalized coaching program, usually for at least 3 months, where they have videos that are 7 to 10 minutes long that they can access any time of the day.
It's contagious across the screen.
Apparently. And so that means they're still personalized, but they're not waiting for an appointment. They can literally get confidence coaching 365 days a year. They can still message me in app. They can share their journal entries with me if they want to. Any of the activities are being done, and it's all held in one space, which means it's not clogging up emails or anything like that. And for mums, they will like hide in the toilet when that's the only time they can get some silence. And they'll watch their video and they'll still be learning. So instead of postponing because of other commitments, everyone can pretty much find 7 to 10 minutes. And so that helps me give people possibility to have confidence coaching where they can't have that hour to sit down. So it's just a different delivery model, allowing me to serve a lot of people, but not losing people in group coaching, for example.
Yeah. So you do one-on-one work as well for those people who can commit to like an hour session or whatever? Is that available also?
Yeah. So just lock in the time, and then it's a similar sort of consultation, regardless of which way you go, essentially. But I suppose people are at different points. If they're doing the one-on-one, they either might just need to feel that physical presence of somebody right there, or they may have this niggling feeling that there's underlying trauma, which is normally the case, and they can't quite name it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to talk to me about other things, and then it'll pop out because people know, if they know my story, that I have experienced trauma. So that's where that one-on-one coaching is really, really good. And it's just done like a month-to-month basis. And that gives people the consistency of taking regular action, but blocked out time, which can be really good for people who maybe struggle with blocking out that time, even though it's 7 to 10 minutes themselves. Because they know that they're physically going to see me. Yeah. So whereas the on-the-go coaching, it can be very much both maintenance, but also for people who are incredibly busy, So I think about myself, I have psychologists and counselors I see just to keep my self-care going. Because people do disclose a lot to me. Even people that aren't my clients, randoms on the street, will just disclose stuff to me because I must have like coach or empath written on my head.
Yep. I hear you.
And so, there's got to be a space where I can like decompress about, the heaviness that I feel or whatnot. And so, there's just two different modes, I guess. But
yeah, that's awesome. What does your dream business look like?
My dream business, oh man. Oh, if only not for COVID.
It's a regroup time.
Yeah. So, I would like to be working, 3 days with actual clients and then doing events. I love doing events because it's more, again, like meeting people. I know that in person, I am much better with people than like on a phone call. Unless it's a Zoom call, because people actually get to experience my warmth instead of just guessing it through my voice. But yeah, I'd want to travel around a little bit, do some public speaking and events, and have a team. And, I used to have 30 contractors. I don't anymore, but we're in a process. And I would like, instead of them being contractors, to be full-time staff, because what was heartbreaking for me during COVID was knowing that if I kept them on, then I was seriously going to struggle myself, which wouldn't serve anyone. And if I let go of them, that would impact them, because I had staff overseas as well who had worse COVID situations than we've had. So, I'd like to have at least a team of, 30 or 40 full-time staff and other coaches employed around the world to help with things. So at the moment, I help people in 11 countries, but I'd really like to get to like 50 countries is my idea. And mainly targeting countries like, the Middle East, for example, who they have a lot of challenges. Other countries where there's oligarchies, people have actually reached out to me and said, how do we change this? That's real long-term work. It's going to take a lot of effort, but also I can't be that, white Australian who's going in there to save the world. Like, that's just naive. So that's about being able to travel to work with the actual people to help. Ultimately, for me, it's about creating peace, which might sound corny, but I think if people have individual peace, they are much better with other individuals. And that's really the way to go. Maybe not so much big picture, with politics.
Yeah, no, I completely get it, because there's so much, for, like you said, for people to be able to create change in their own backyard effectively, they've got to have the confidence to stand in their convictions and to verbalize what they want, and to follow through on all that is required, regardless of how positive or otherwise that is, and so that makes perfect sense to me, that you're wanting to support the people who will be the leaders in their local area, so that they can create the change. And yeah, absolutely, when you create that inner peace within yourself, then you think of the great leaders who have been in our world. Those people who have promoted peace have been massively peaceful themselves. That's just who they are. So of course that makes perfect sense to me, and I don't think it sounds corny in the slightest. I think it's amazing. What sort, you talked about events. What sort of events is it that you wanted to do? Like what does that look like for you?
So I really am a big believer in collaboration. So I like joining up with other people that are experts, and then meeting who they serve, helping people where maybe they can't, but then also having my own events around the main pain points that people have in their own lives. So largely the last couple of years that's been online, but I want that to become more in person and sort of travel around Australia initially with that. So that's, talking about self-sabotage, talking about how trauma impacts the way we turn up and how we hold it in ourselves. The things in our lives that we don't really recognize are still holding us back. Like, it's really funny. I'm now really connected with a person I went to school with. We never got along at school, but we both dropped our egos to talk about how we can help and support each other as women in business. And also just to see each other, what's going on in life, because I think we can get stuck in a snapshot and a point in time in our life where that story is still real, but we're like 10 years on, and that's just not okay anymore. And initially, I'll admit, like for myself, I was like, oh, this feels really uncomfortable. I want to go there. Am I going to get more hurt? But that's not what happened. And so I think events about getting people to, let go of who maybe bullied them when they were a teenager that they're still holding on to.
Yeah.
Why they can't forgive themselves, the things that really etch away at that inner peace, so that people can feel calmer. Because I think that's, at the moment, I think people are trying to just access things to release how much turmoil they feel like they have. Yeah. And then they can start to do more of the self-love work. So those kinds of events. And also I'm already connected with Well and You, which is a corporate wellness company in Melbourne. I do Brisbane, Queensland events, and just getting proper wellbeing programs into businesses and corporations. It astounds me that people have workplace health safety policies and they have an employee assistance program, but it's like, we have an employee assistance program. Yay.
Yeah.
And it's
and
really
what's in it? Nada.
There's nothing. I mean, maybe you're ticking a thing off for legality, but if that's all you're doing, are you really leading, is my question. And, being in the education sector previously, so much red tape, so much not even normalizing conversation around why you might need to call somebody as part of an employee assistance program is a big issue. And then when you see leaders who are not comfortable with being transparent enough about what's going on for them, like they don't have to tell their whole life, but they need to turn up as a human, then they can step out of being a manager and actually be a leader. And so I want to do some more on corporate wellness because of those reasons. Yeah,
it's interesting. My my husband used to work in a large government area, and they had a corporate wellness thing where you could access a site to help them, support them through the stuff that they dealt with day to day in their work. And as soon as anybody, it was all anonymous, but if anybody accessed that program, it was like there was no such thing as promotion from that point forwards, basically. It was an interest, like it was a really interesting dynamic, because it was not an easy job that he was doing. that anyone was doing. And yet when they accessed the support, it was seen as a negative. And I'm like, that's stuff. I mean, this is probably 10 years ago now. I'm hoping that it's changed, but I don't know that a great deal of it has in some cases. So, and it needs to, absolutely needs to.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I don't know why that came through there. Yeah, interesting. So we're talking about events. You and I have got an event coming up in a couple of weeks that I wanted to touch on briefly before we come back to your business. Now, do you want to share a little bit about that and why we're doing it? We hadn't even really worked about how we're going to information.
Oh, I'm happy to. It's all good. So Terry, Shane Anderson and I are running Christmas in July at the Toowoomba Sports Club, and it's really about having really good conversation, authentic conversation, connecting with people over canapes and cocktails, if you wish, while in Christmas attire. How many more C's can I see in, hey? But it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's not like this high-end, this is the result that you have to have when you leave the event. It's more about just enjoying each other's company, talking about business, how we can support each other, both local people and people that come in to visit as well. And I think, honestly, being in Christmas attire, just, you know, if that's what you choose to do, I think it brings down, like, it creates an icebreaker. So I'm very much looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great night. And I think there'll be people letting loose like they need to.
Yeah. And one of the things for those, so we'll share the link into the chat for people who want to grab tickets. But one of the things that we do understand that when you come to an event like this, it can be a bit uncomfortable when you first walk through the door, and the whole idea of it is for you to meet new people as well as build stronger connections with the people you already know. And so we're actually going to share with you some tips on how to do that, to make so it's just easier for everybody. We've got actually I've got a little thing right here.
Yeah.
Ready to go. But that will be a part of the process in terms of helping you to, like, for those of you who come along, helping you to initiate those conversations with a little bit more ease, so that you can then hopefully find other people in the room who excuse me, who can support you in your journey, whether that's you know, you create another friendship, whether it's about finding someone that you can work with, whether it's someone that you help, whether you cross refer. You know, there's a bunch of different ways that conversations like this can end up supporting you and your business in the long run. We've actually got a couple of people watching that I didn't realize. Sorry, I'd been paying attention to you and not the screen. So we've got Lauralee and Sue and Mary Beth and Chantal have all jumped in this morning, and Mary Beth says hello.
Hello.
Mary Beth's over in the US. She's amazing. I love it when she jumps in because she asks a whole bunch of questions usually, if she's got a moment, if she's not busy with her grandbaby. Yeah, so but yeah, anyway, if anyone wants to come along, like I said, we'll pop the chat in there. But to get back to your stuff, hey Shani, Chantal and I went to school together. And Sue's just up the road at Highfields at Redgate, Bowen and something. She does Bowen therapy and helps breastfeeding mums, and I can't remember the full business name, cool. But Redgate's a business name. Anyway, it's awesome lady. Sorry.
It's okay.
So coming back to your business. So I love the way that, like, what you've got happening and what you, like, where you're headed. I'm sorry about this. This is terrible.
It's fine.
Oh, there we go. Sue's popped it. Well, I've been busy struggling to speak. Redgate, Bowen and Breastfeeding Clinic is Sue's business. So yeah, like I was saying, I love the way that, like, what you're doing and how you do it. I love the fact that you've got that app to give people that flexibility and how they work with you, so that you can still support them regardless of where they're at in their life journey at the time. If people want to sort of, like, touch base with you and learn a little bit more about, have you got something that you can share in terms of, like, a sort of starting point for people to explore more about your business and learn a bit more about you?
Yeah, so I mean, my website in part does that as well. I have, I guess, the starting point for themselves. Let me go back a bit. The website goes through also the steps that we go through as part of, I guess, the customer journey. Not that I would talk to them about it like that, but you know what I mean? And then I have 11 ebooks that all have part of what people might be struggling with. So I guess if people are thinking, is Jules the right fit for me, or do I want to have a chat with her or whatnot? Maybe just start with some curiosity about what one of those books could I access something from, and see what you learn from it. Have a chat with me, or just simply reach out. You know, I share my phone number pretty openly, as well as my email, and you can just have a chat with me and see, because you might be that person who doesn't know whether you need coaching or whatnot, or how I can help you. And coaching is so very much about who you click with. And if you don't click with someone, then it's just not going to work. And being transparent about that is really important, because at the end of the day, you're about your clients' results. So I think having a conversation is the best part. But I mean, I can give you a little bit now if you like about me.
Sure, let's do that.
So yeah, I came from a teaching background. In my spare time, while I lived out at Dalby, I used to do personal training programs for people and help them to achieve their goals. And I just used to do it for fun. But it wasn't until a big fast forward years later that I was living in the UK, and I had traumatic experience happen where I was sexually assaulted, that I realized that actually even being a PE teacher and teaching kids about health was very, very shallow from the mental health point of view, very, very shallow on how do you actually live as an adult, being happy and successful and confident in who you are, instead of feeling like you're being pushed from pillar to post. And once I learned that, I was like, whoa, so many people need to learn about this, because their health in general will change fundamentally. And so that's really what motivated to sort of help me get started. And a lot of random people on the street in London, actually, who would, like an Oxfam guy trying to sell me stuff, was just like, I'm not even going to sell you anything. Just tell me what's the secret, which was so funny, because I'm like, I'm just a person. But, you know, we'll have a chat, and I'll tell you my experience, and I'll tell you how the power of choice has been massive for me in my life. And the more that I understand that and embrace it, the more confidence that I have, which is like for everyone, you know, but also understanding why I do the things I do, my shitness as well as my goodness. And just being comfortable to say, you know, like, all right, you said that I was stubborn, or you said that I did this and that wasn't great. And you know what? That's correct. And that's on me, and I've got to deal with that, and I've got to have that accountability. And I think that pretty much sums up why I do what I do, but also why it's important to do the inner work for yourself as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, as I said, I'm always down for a chat. Always keen to listen to people's stories, because I like connecting with people. So, and otherwise you can have a bit of a read on my website if you like, or just engage with me in social media.
Yeah.
I'll admit Instagram has been a little bit dead lately, but it's just kicking back up again, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I actually, when I was just thinking of this before, excuse me, Chantal, who's been watching, is so yes, she and I did go to school together, but she's actually a psychologist who's based down around Gundawindi, and has a bunch of other stuff happening as well. But she's I think she'd be a really great person for you two to connect with, honestly, because I think there's probably similarities in stuff that you do and the way you can support each other. And Kat's joined us to say hello. So hi, Kat.
Hi.
You mentioned to me before we hopped on about a webinar that you've got coming up. Do you want to share a little bit of information about that for people who want to maybe jump in and have like a, you know, get into something that's a bit newer or different, another way of people connecting with you?
Yeah, sure. So the webinar is called Why You Can't Build Confidence, and how to change that. So basically, we're working through what are the main reasons why people's confidence are held back, what's actually behind those reasons, how to refresh your perspective and how you view the world and where you're living from, and then take consistent action by putting confidence on autopilot, essentially. So I'm really excited about it. It's going to be amazing because all these challenges that people have, they're so common. I mean, people always say, oh, you've probably never heard of this before. No, I've probably heard of it. Like, everyone's been challenged with it. It's fine. But like, come along. Like, everyone's had the experience. So join in the webinar, learn a little bit more. Like, you're not going to lose anything by putting yourself first for a night. So it's 7 p.m. Tomorrow night. And when people sign up, they get the link sent through to them and some goodies to help them make sure they make the most of the process, because I don't want to just talk. I want them to be able to do things too.
Awesome. So for those people who are maybe catching a replay, tomorrow night would be the 29th of June 2022, and it'll be 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, because I know, well, there's a couple of people who are watching already who are in different time zones. So, but definitely, like I said, pop the link in so people can find that webinar for those of you who are interested. And you know, if it's past when Julia's doing this live one, I'm sure you'll be able to find either a replay or something. I know that you'll be all over that. I'll let you take care of that with your people if they connect with you around this one later on.
Yeah.
So one last thing before my voice gives up completely for the day. What's your biggest tip that you want to share with people about anything? I don't care whether it's like, it used to be it was a Tuesday tip because that was my thing with my group, but it's really interesting to see the tips that people come out with. What's the biggest thing that you want people to take away with them, either about you, your business, their life, whatever?
Can I make it two?
Absolutely.
So first of all, I think the most important thing is to constantly be building awareness. And that's why you always need to be working on yourself. But you cannot have confidence without awareness. And as you learn new things about yourself, as you're in different roles and responsibilities, and just life events, you're going to create greater awareness. So many people don't want to access developing their confidence because they feel like when they have awareness, they'll become arrogant. It's literally impossible. You know, if you are arrogant, you don't want to be aware of the things that you're not great at, where you don't turn up well, where you are rude to people or whatnot. Confidence is a completely different space. When you have that awareness, then nothing stings anywhere near as much as it has before you had it. So, you know, as I sort of alluded to before, people can say things to you and you're like, okay, thanks. And the whole phrase of water off a duck's back doesn't become like but how do I be that duck with the water flowing off my back? It actually is just something that you can do simply. But awareness is the key, and making sure that you're not afraid of it, because the peace comes from actually accepting the things that are hard for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I always think thought that went through my head as you were talking there, it's confidence has a depth to it, whereas arrogance is just this like fake it till you make it version of confidence, I think. And it just, like you said, it just doesn't have, if you are truly confident, then arrogance doesn't come into it. People who don't look may perceive it as arrogance, but it's not really, and that's on them, not on you, in my opinion. If your confidence comes off as arrogance to somebody else.
Yeah, 100%.
Kat just put a post in to say confidence is sexy. That's what she says in there's some really good chats in here, ladies, but I'm sorry, my voice, as you can tell, is getting worse because it's all ladies who have been putting comments in, but we will come back. Someone's already asked for links. But yes to all the comments that I've seen in there so far. I'm sorry that I can't come back and address them today because I've got to get off. Thank you so much though, Julia, for your time. We will be popping links into this chat like nobody's business between the event that you and I are putting on together, your webinar, and anything else that people want to find about your business. Please share away. It's about, like, this is there so that you can promote what you do and how you do it, so that people who obviously are interested right now can actually find you really easily.
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. And assisting with your voice.
Oh, it's just a thing for now. It'll get better. It's nothing. I don't feel as bad as I sound. Let's put it that way. I just do need to stop talking though for a little bit, which is hard for me.
Oh, challenge. That's how I feel when I get laryngitis. Shit, I'm bored of myself because I can't talk and I can't talk to anyone.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, thank you so much though for today. I really appreciate it. And any guys, jump in, check out Julia's stuff. It's really amazing.
Cool.
And
thank you.
I hope that those of you who can make it will join us at Christmas in July, which is on the 16th of July, by the way. We didn't mention the date before, but hopefully you guys will come along and have some fun with us.
Yeah.
But for now, it's bye from me.
All right. See you.